The crew aboard the Andalucia are fast asleep after a party on board the night before, and unbeknown to them, there is a Jolly Roger, aka the local weirdo, down below taking photographs at 8 AM. But I've run into a problem. And also what I'm doing is I'm pulling my film. I'm shooting it at, in fact, I didn't check my ISO. Unfortunately, I shot the first few frames at 400 ISO. It's an FP4, so I've just changed it to 125. But, and as I look up and smile, I then realise I've got to do all these compositions again. My famous quote of "I can always go back and do it again" has come back to haunt me. Look at this beauty behind me. This is a Spanish Galleon ship. It's a replica from a ship that was built in the 16th, 17th century. And I was down here last night and someone said to me, there's a massive ship, you might want to go down there tomorrow and take some pictures. So I went down last night to have a quick look, see the position, location of it. It's perfect, look at that. In a minute I'm going to go right down there. I'll show you guys really up close to this amazing ship. It's come all the way from Spain. It's in Cowes on the Isle of Wight at the moment. And then on Sunday it's going to head off to Gravesend in Kent, then it's going to go to London, and then it's going to bugger off back to Spain. Let's go down there, I'll show you up close. It's pretty fascinating. I'm down here before the visitors arrive, but I've encountered a problem I can easily solve in camera and in the development. It's been raining for days and the wooden ship is very dark, and as the lighting is flat and the ship is dark, I need to overexpose to reveal the detail on the ship. But if I do that, I'm going to have a white sky, and if I shoot normally at the camera's metered exposure, I'm going to have a good sky but a very dark ship. So I need a happy medium. That's why I've decided to pull my film. It's not a common technique, but it can be excellent for these kind of situations. So my plan is pretty simple. I've come down with some Ilford FP4, Nikon F6. I've got 3 lenses, a 180, a 50 and a 28. I want to try and get, you know, sort of timeless pictures where nothing else is in the shot other than the ship. So it only leaves me really for detail on composition on detail. So looking up at the sails and parts of the boat at 10 o'clock, it's only 8 o'clock at the moment, at 10 o'clock I'm going to go on board and have a little look around. I had to pay to do that. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to get some nice photographs of the sails and stuff, and what I'll do during this video later on, we'll get back, develop the film, we'll get in the darkroom and see how some of the prints look. I'll talk you over I'll take pictures and talk you over the compositions that I did taking these photographs. What an amazing ship. And what I'm doing with these photographs is I'm actually pulling the film, so I'm overexposing, and then later on I'm going to underdevelop, just so that I get my clouds in and this ship being dark as well, get the shadow detail in as well. If I was to shoot that normally and develop normally, I'll have a toss between the dark ship and the sky, so you know, I'll have to decide what I want. But by pulling the film, it will give me a flatter negative to work with anyway in the darkroom, so maybe just a little bit of a contrast 5 filter to boost the contrast a little bit, it might work. Unfortunately, I shot the first few frames at 400 ISO. It's an FP4, so I've just changed it to 125. Expose for the shadows and develop for the highlights. You've probably heard that many times along the way. It's a famous quote from Ansel Adams. It sounds confusing, but in a nutshell, it means if you want shadow detail in your print, you need to expose for it in the camera. Take a scene on a bright day, for example. You're going to have shadows and no doubt bright areas too. And if you're using your camera's internal meter, it will work out an average metering value taking into account the brighter areas. You end up with detail in your highlights, but your shadow areas have been compromised. The camera doesn't care about your shadows, it just wants to make sure that your highlights have detail. So when you develop your film, you will have these dense areas in the brighter parts of the scene retaining detail, and the darker areas will almost be transparent with no detail. For this example, I'm using newspaper so you guys can see the transparent parts of the negative, which are the darker areas. And there is no way that you're going to get detail back when parts of the negative are completely see-through. This is how it works when printing. When you place light sensitive paper under the enlarger, the light from the enlarger is going to pass straight through the transparent areas of the negative and turn the paper black almost instantly. Your shadow areas will have no detail, but with the brighter or denser areas of the negative, the light can't pass through that easily, and so those areas pass onto the paper slowly, building more detail. And I'm using the newspaper again for illustration. The old rule is you should be able to read a newspaper through your negative. I find that to be useful advice, as if I can't read the paper through the dense areas of the negative, then light from the enlarger is going to take ages to burn detail onto the paper, in which time my thin areas have already gone jet black. You end up with a print that is very contrasty. But we can control this by exposing for the shadows. Take the same scene, for example. This time we can expose for the shadows. All we need to do is overexpose the scene by 2 stops. By doing so, you've overexposed your film, and those darker parts of the scene now have detail because of the overexposure. The trouble is, you've guessed it, you've now overexposed your brighter areas also by 2 stops. But that's not so bad, because film, unlike digital, can easily handle overexposure. You can get the detail back in Photoshop or in the darkroom, which can be a faff. But we have one more trick up our sleeve to help those highlights out, which is our development. The longer development time, the more the highlights build up. If you develop a further 5 minutes than your recommended time, your highlights are going to be a lot more dense, even longer, and you end up with negatives so heavy and dense getting detail back out the highlights is near on impossible. The shorter the time, the less the highlights will develop. Think of it as a white shirt. A normal development time of say 10 minutes will give you all the detail that you need in the shirt. Develop for 15 minutes and the white shirt starts to lose detail and will appear overexposed, or overdeveloped in this case. If you developed for 5 minutes only, the shirt will appear almost dull and grey because there wasn't enough development time for the highlights to build. So if we go back to our scene where we overexposed by 2 stops for the shadows, we can then underdevelop. That way the overexposed parts of the scene won't get as much development and won't blow out. The chances are you'll end up with a low contrast negative, but you will have details in your shadows and also your highlights. And this is how the saying goes: expose for the shadows and develop for the highlights. And that is all you're doing. Without going into the zone system, which is a more controlled way of metering, shooting and printing a scene, we aren't going to go there. All we're doing is overexposing the film and underdeveloping. It's commonly known as pulling film. So I looked all over this Spanish Galleon for compositions, and as normal I was looking for wall art for my home. It makes my compositions easier when I look through the viewfinder, but it wasn't easy. Usually I like to give the main subject in my photos enough room in the frame to breathe, but I found that to be a bit tricky. Even with a wide 28mm lens, I couldn't get the whole sail in. So I had to somehow find compositions where I was pushing the sails to one side, still giving them center stage, and also my composition having other details peppered around. Such as this photo, for example, the sails are coming in from the right and I'm using the rope to carry the rest of the frame off. And another example here, the sails are coming in from the left. I just couldn't get all of the sails in, so I had to work around it. And as you can see in this photograph, I have the top sail in, but the bottom sail wouldn't fit. And I was even sitting down on the deck looking up. I had no more room. And this is a simple composition, using the ropes to guide your eyes up towards the crow nest and rigging. And this composition here, it wasn't by chance the small boat came along. I actually waited for it, and I also waited until it cleared those background trees. I particularly like the CANON looking through the hatch. It was important to keep the sea horizon straight, and the light on this scene was perfect. And this one here with the mast coming from the bottom left of the frame, gradually building the photograph with sails and rope, and also with enough room around the frame for it to breathe. And this was the best I could do for a view of the whole ship without any interference. But out of all the photos that I took, I've chosen 3 that I want to print and frame. This one here, it possibly has more impact on the sails than any of the others, and it's less busy. And I have a choice too. I can flip it this way or I can flip it that way, depending on what I think looks best. And I do like this one very much, where I was looking up. It is a very busy scene and the ropes are coming in and out the frame at all sorts of angles, but it does look nice. And the final one I want to make a print of is the CANON. I particularly like this photograph. The light I thought was absolutely beautiful, and I think this will look good on the wall as a set of 3 with this one in the middle. And in my last video I was giving away an Astrori light meter, and I asked you guys in the previous video to that, what was the very first camera that I used to experiment with the Astrori light meter? And the answer was the Pentacon 6, and there was loads of comments on that video. I went through them all and I randomly selected one, literally closed my eyes, went through, flipped up and down through the comments, and then stopped at 1. And the winner is Gordon Will 6885, who answered right, which was the Pentacon 6. So Gordon, if you're watching, wherever you are in the world, mate, that Astrori light meter is yours. I'll get it sent over to you. If you just direct message me on Instagram or email me your details, I'll get that off to you straight away. Thanks to everyone else that contributed towards that giveaway. So these are the negatives now. I've got 2 rolls of film which I bulk loaded, so there was about 15 or so shots on each one. These are the ones where I made the mistake and I realised, oh no, I've left 400 on the camera. I usually shoot FP4 at 400, so I left 400 on the ISO on the camera and shooting aperture priority. That's what I got. But this is a good example to show you how thin they are. You can see, I can see straight through that thin part of the negative there, which is the boat, which is the dark part. And if I put that on the enlarger, that light is going to go straight through there, burn the paper black, and you'll have no detail at all. The sky has got detail in it. It's not jet black, it's just got nice detail, and also the boat as well. And that's the whole reason I pulled the film. So what I'm going to do is take one of these, or 3 of these actually, the ones that I said, and get them on the enlarger, make some prints, and I'll show you in a little while how I did them. So off camera I've just done some test prints for this print of the ship, and this is the very first test strip I did in increments of seconds, and it looked to me as though 7 seconds was going to be the best. So I did another strip. This was contrast 0 filter, then I did another strip at 7 seconds. I just felt it was too dark, so I went for 5 seconds and then tried a little bit of contrast 5 just to try and deepen the blacks a little bit more. Didn't like that. Then I tried contrast 0 3.5 seconds. Contrast 5 for 1.7 seconds, and again that was a bit too mashy, so I ended up going back to this section, which was only 5 seconds on contrast 0. And this is the final print after a couple of test prints. This was the final one that I came out with. Contrast 0 for 5 seconds and a contrast 5 for 1.5 seconds, or 1.7 seconds, just to boost the blacks a little tiny bit, and that's the ending result. The sky is different to the inertia of the paper, which is what I wanted. I didn't want the sky to be white, which would have been white if I'd shot that normally and developed normally. As you can see, I've got detail in the sails. I did actually try and lighten these sails a little bit with a dodge tool. This one here actually, just cover that a little bit. But I didn't like it, it just looked too light. So I scrapped that, took it away, and I'm happy with the final result. And bearing in mind that I'm shooting up against a brightest sky and dark ship, and getting this balance out, I think it done really well pulling that film. I didn't want to do any dodging or burning, but the only thing I had to do was just burn a little tiny bit in this sky for about a second up here, and then in this corner as well, and down in this corner too. The sky is what it is. It's got light parts and darker parts, so I just had to burn that in a little tiny bit. So you can see that's what I ended up with. I didn't want to put a black frame around it, but at least I've got the difference between the sky and the inertia of the paper once that's framed. So I just printed this one as well, and this one was really easy to make, no dodging and burning on this particular print. I used a 2.5 grade filter, but I just felt this side was a little bit dark. The light must have been coming more over this side. So I had to go back under the enlarger and do another one. This time just dodging that rope back in. As you can see now, I've got more detail on the rope this side, which I think looks much better. Also got all the detail outside and all the detail inside, and that was a 2.5 grade filter. All I did was just dodge this little bit of rope in, the rest of it was from the negative. And the final one that I wanted to do was all that rigging there. That photograph was contrast 0 for 7 seconds, and that was all I needed to do. No dodging and burning at all on that one, and that one's come out really nice as well. And whilst on the subject of printing, I've got to say a massive thanks to Stu from Hertfordshire, who sent me this lovely fibre-based print, funny enough, of the Isle of Wight. He was over here on holiday and he took a photograph of one of my favourite beaches over here, and he printed it, sent it to me. So Stu, if you're watching, thanks very much. Not only did he send me the print, he also gave me information on how he printed it, and mate, I couldn't have done better myself. I think it's a wonderful print. And also the zine I got as well from Peter, I think that's how you pronounce your name, Peter, with some amazing images inside, all printed. Look at this. And I think it's great, you know, that we're getting our work printed rather than leaving it on a hard drive or on an SD card or whatever. But, you know, even these zines, getting your stuff printed and keeping them like this is a fantastic way to preserve them. And obviously you've got your negatives as well, but the quality of these prints are absolutely amazing. So Peter, thanks very much for sending me this e-zine as well. So for me, the prints have come out looking really nice, all down to those negatives being a little bit flat and easy manageable in the darkroom. And I'm often pulling film if I need to, like I did down at the ship. Sometimes, instead of overexposing, I'll just pull the development down a little tiny bit. If I think I'm going to have trouble with the highlights, I'll just pull the development just slightly. But of course, there are other developers that can handle highlights really well. I'm using D23 in this video, Kodak D23 that I make myself, and the results I get are often a mixed bag. If I stick with the same developer, the same, you know, 2 stops overexposed in the similar lighting conditions, I can get decent results. If I start changing my developers, changing my exposure times, then I have to experiment and see where it falls right for me to print in the darkroom. And whereas a lot of people are pushing film, that seems to be like a hip thing to be doing at the moment, is pushing film. It's great fun, you can get some really good results. I often push film as well, especially FP4, but pulling film sometimes, certain situations, you can really benefit from it if you're scanning or even printing in a darkroom like I am. So let us know in the comments if you pull film often, or even if you sometimes just underdevelop a bit for a certain result. Let us know in the comments what you do. I'm sure others will be interested to read those comments as much as I would as well. I've got fixy fingers. I need to get these washed. I should really wear gloves in here. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope it's been a little bit educational about pulling film. I'll catch you next time.